Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've had quite enough of terrible vacuum cleaners. In this episode, I suggest we check out one of Hoover's best vacuum cleaners. Let's go. Now, you might be surprised to hear me say this and actually classify this as one of the best vacuum cleaners that Hoover ever made. Certainly considering it's so late in Hoover's history. I'll explain to you as we go through why I think that this is a really, really good Hoover. On the surface of it, you may think, actually, I'm not entirely sure. But I will be fair in this video. I will also point out its cons. There are a couple of them, but not that many. And the machine I have to show you is this one. This is a Hoover Turbopower 2. Now, I specifically chose this one for a couple of reasons. I have some other machines in the garage, but they're not branded Turbopower 2. One of them is branded Turbopower 1000. There's a Turbopower 3, and they're not ideally suited to this video because I wanted to show you the earliest one that I possibly could. And the ones that I have here right now, this is the earliest one I have. Unfortunately, I do own a really, really early Turbo 2 from 1992, the first year that they actually came out. That is not currently here. My friend Luke found it for me, and it's currently at his house in Stoke-on-Trent. And obviously, because of the lockdown and all that madness, he can't get that machine to me. So I will reference it in this video, and when it arrives, we will have a look at it and talk it through, because I think it would be interesting to see a really early one. So this particular machine, it's a U2464, is in fact the facelifted Mark I Turbopower 2. Now this all becomes quite weird and quite messy very, very quickly because, of course, we're dealing with Hoover, and Hoover never kept things simple. So a brief history lesson for you. Turbopower 2 was launched in 1992, and it replaced the Turbopower Plus at the top of Hoover's range of upright cleaners. So at that point in time, Turbopower 2 became top of the line, and there were three initial models of it. Turbopower 1 was relegated to the sort of mid-level, midline range, and then you had effectively the Turbo Junior or the Sprite. I've shown it on the channel. I'll put a link up there somewhere to show you the bottom of the line upright. So you have the three levels of cleaner. So Turbopower 2 was the top of the line until 1997, when it was superseded by the Pure Power range. And then that means that Pure Power was the top of the range. Turbopower 2, or as it was then, Turbopower 3, this is when it gets difficult, was the mid-range cleaner. And Turbopower 1 was still being produced at that time. So that became the bottom of the line range of cleaners. It's madness. You kind of think to yourself, why didn't Hoover stop making Turbopower 1 in 97 when Pure Power was launched? Because if you think of the core ranges, you would have had 3 Pure Powers, 3 Turbopower 3s, and then I think 3 Turbopower 1s. So just in the core range, you had 9 vacuum cleaners, and that excludes all of the special edition models, all of the made for so and so, limited run, blah blah blah, all that madness. So it was just like, oh, why didn't they stop it? But as we know, Turbopower 1 was produced up until 2003, which is insane. 1983 to 2003. It's like the most 80s vacuum cleaner you could possibly imagine was still being sold in 2003. But there we go. Oh, goodness. So to rewind a bit, to talk about Turbopower 2, as I say, launched in 1992, 3 models in the original lineup. They were then replaced by Turbopower 3, and then ultimately Turbopower 3 was replaced by the budget machines, which were, I believe, they went back to being called Turbopower. So they weren't Turbopower 2, Turbopower 3, Turbopower 1000. They were just Turbopower, and those are the ones that are mainly yellow and blue. It's usually just those 2 machines. They were effectively cost-reduced versions of Turbopower 3. Now, from memory, Turbopower 3 arrived in 1995, so 3 years after the original Turbopower 2 machines. Quite why they chose to call it Turbopower 3 is a bit weird, because they look exactly the same as Turbopower 2, but there we go. And you also, as well, around that time, got the Turbopower 1000, which again is a Turbopower 2, just slightly differently named. Madness, madness. Now, as I said earlier, this is a facelifted Mark 1.5 Turbopower 2, and you can tell that for a couple of reasons. There's one very important reason actually, and it concerns this little moulding right here. Now, I suppose you could effectively say, it gets even crazier, that this is the Mark 1.75 Turbopower 2. The original, very first Mark 1 Turbopower 2 had a standard non-stair length hose. It had the bells and whistles, the electronics, and the new style Permabag, but it had a different bag full indicator system. This machine has an electronic light right here, which glows when the bag or the Permabag is full. The original Mark 1 had a piston style bag full indicator at this point here. Now if I take the bag door off, which is nice, what's quite nice in this one, it has its original instruction book, which is pretty cool. Now if you see there that on the bag door there's a moulding, and there's this section here. Now in here you can actually see it still, even as late as this one is. There's a moulding section there for a piston style bag full indicator that goes up and down. It basically turns from green to red as the bag fills. But what happened was, on those original cleaners, was the moulding of the bag door, combined with the fact that this was a clean fan machine with an 800 watt motor and a pretty decent amount of suction and airflow, different things. What would happen was that the bag door would actually fracture at this central point here. If you blocked the hose or you didn't change the bag, the pressure would pull the bag door in, and you can still see it happen on these later ones. It would pull it in, and it would be so severe and so forceful that it would crack the bag door, because the moulding to have that piston in there was not strong enough to cope with the suction pressure. So those cleaners are incredibly rare. They were, I think they were like retrofitted. I think you could get a different bag door for them that removed the piston style bag full on it, and then you've got a new door with just this sort of blanked off moulding on it. So they are very, very rare, and that's the cleaner that Luke has got for me. So I'm really keen to get my hands on it and to show it to you, because they are extremely rare cleaners. The next iteration of machines that were sold moved the bag full from this piston style up to the top here with the electronic light. So that is effectively the Mark 1.5. The final version is this one, which is technically the Mark 1.75 machine. A different colour. This one is black, which is unusual. They were normally blue. This is a black one, and it has a different style hose handle. As you can see there, that is a stylised grip. The early machines, the Mark 1 and the Mark 1.5, did not have this style hose end. It was a straight hose end. It was almost exactly the same as what you got on the Turbopower Mark 1. So that is what strikes this particular cleaner out as a Mark 1.75. It's not a stair clean hose, it's not a triple stretch hose, it's just a double stretch, which is what the original cleaners had. Everything else about it is standard Turbopower 2. If I scribble it down for you there, you can see the back. So you've got your standard toolkit, you've got your dusting brush and your all-purpose tool. You have the crevice tool hidden inside the rod and a standard stretch hose. There is a moulding down here at this point for the later cleaners, which had the stair length hose. Turbopower 3, I think all Turbopower 3s had the stair length hose. And actually, you'll notice up here, look, there's no extension point. If you, on here, at this point here, for Turbopower 3, the hose goes up further and around this point here. So, yeah, this is definitely a Mark 1.75. So this also has the, I believe, yes, it's got the 800 watt motor. Now the original machines had 800 watt motors. The next generation, the Mark II, which is Turbopower 3 and Turbopower 1000, had 1000 watt motors. And I think the later ones, the very last, had either 1100 or 1200 watt motors in them. Now that is kind of misleading, because you think to yourself, oh, perhaps they're more powerful, they can move more air, they'll clean better. In actuality, because they are cost reduced machines, they have a cost reduced motor. The original motor that's fitted to this cleaner and Turbo 1000 and Turbo 3 was a physically quite a compact motor, but dual stage. So these cleaners have two fans. The later cost-reduced versions have a single fan motor. They tend to be louder, cruder. They're just not built as well as these cleaners are. I've just thought of one other thing that marks this out as a Mark 1.75 is it has this quick release section here. Now the original cleaners did not have this. This base plate was one complete moulding on the original Mark 1 machines, and if you had a blockage here, this is the suction channel. If you had a blockage, you had to take off the entire base plate. But on these cleaners, there's a quick release latch here. This yellow latch is, I won't do it now because it'll be a pain to get back on, but you can pull that latch back and remove the suction channel covering. So it's much easier to get to any blockages or whatever. They have the Turbopower style activator brush roll. These are really nice actually, these work really well. This one is particularly good actually. If I look up here, it's got a really nice set of bristles on it. I don't think this particular cleaner's had a great deal of use. It is in remarkable nick, I must say. It looks really nice for its age. The only problem with it is it has a battle scar here. Hopefully you can see that. It's been melted at this point. I think someone's put it up against like a really hot pipe, and it kind of looks like the same kind of thickness as a pipe, so it's kind of been lent against it. Something's got really hot and it's melted the plastic here, which is a real shame because it would be really, really nice if that hadn't happened. But yeah, there we go. So that's Turbopower 2 and 1000 and 3 in a nutshell. So now I'd like to move on, if I may, to talk about the Permabag System 2. Now, as we all know, the original Hoover Permabag was a disaster. There's a video on the channel, which I will link to here somewhere, which shows me using a Turbopower Freedom to suck up some cat litter, and that did not end well by any means, so I'll put the link. And I thought it would be good to recreate that little that little experiment, I suppose you could call it, with this cleaner and Permabag System 2. I have one here. And there we go. There it is. Permabag System 2. And some instructions. Let me drop it over there. This particular model did not come with a Permabag System 2. This is bagged only, as you can see by the writing here. I think it says AutoSense. Yes, it says AutoSense. I'll come back to the AutoSense later on to talk you through that, because it's actually very clever. Some of these cleaners, you would have a whole great load of list of items here, which is AutoSense, 1000 watts, Permabag System 2, microfiltration. They just go on and on and on. But this one is just a basic bagged model with AutoSense. So the cleaners that were bagless came with the Permabag System 2. Now this is much, much simpler than the original Permabag system. This is basically a box. It is a box made of, I believe, Draylon, which is a kind of like, it's a tough, porous, almost plastic. It's kind of like a mixture between plastic and cardboard. You can squeeze it and it comes back to its original shape, but it doesn't feel like it's going to rip or tear. It's really quite tough. It's a tough old material, and you can wash these easily, which you have to do because there's no cyclonics in here. There's no dirt separation or anything. It is literally just a plastic box that captures the dirt. Now you can open it up by pressing these levers here, and once you do that, you can remove the centre part of it, and it has these really weird. I don't even know what they are. I honestly don't know what you would call them. They aren't filters or anything. They're not filtering anything. They may possibly be for capturing large debris or hair, maybe. They might make it easier for you to empty the Permabag. I'm not entirely sure, but they are weird things. Will that stand up? Yeah. And then you just have a box. That's all it is. It's a box inside. There is nothing special about this whatsoever. And then you can pop your handle back on and then clip it back in like so. This one is slightly broken because it is quite old. And yeah, so all your dirt gets captured in here. You take it out of the cleaner when it's full or when it tells you to. Open it up, shake it out into the bin, and then stick it back inside. And it is as simple as opening your bag door, removing your dust bag, like so, taking the Permabag System 2, placing it in, giving it a shove to make sure it seals up, and then putting your bag door back on. So any Permabag System 2 will fit any Turbopower 2. You can interchange them as much as you like. Now, would I say they are better than a standard paper bag? No, they absolutely are not. And they are definitely not better than a high filtration HEPA flow style bag. No, not by any means. However, they are much better than the original Permabag system. Anything is better than the original Permabag system. That is just awful. So now I'd like to talk to you about this machine's electronics. They are quite clever in this, and certainly for 1992, what this machine did is clever. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way of saying it. It's very similar to the American dirt finder system. I have a Hoover wind tunnel upstairs in the attic, and that has the dirt finder system, and it's basically where the machine senses how much dirt it's picking up. I can show you this actually working, but when we get the cat litter and we attempt to suck it up with the Permabag, you'll actually see the electronics working. I need to bring the machine down a bit because you can't really see it. It's a bit of a pain. How can I do this? If I hold it sort of like that, which is not ideal, I will film this when the machine's actually in use, then you'll be able to see it. So you have a series of lights here. You've got 3 lights here. You have a power button and a boost button. When you initially plug the cleaner in and turn it on, it immediately goes to the middle light, which is amber. And then after about 5 to 10 seconds, it turns on the green light and the motor speed drops. So you effectively have 3 motor speeds on this cleaner: low, medium and high. But the user can only control low and high. The electronics in the cleaner control the use of the medium speed. So what the machine does is it has a sensor at this point here. I just need to take this off for you and I'll show you. So where the hose goes in at the back here, twist and pull, in here is a dirt sensor. I can't really easily show it to you, but it's in the hole, and it's basically a beam of light. So it shines a beam of light from either the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom over the aperture of the hose where the dirt is entering the dust bag. And that light is basically broken by larger dirt particles flying through it. So when the computer senses that that light beam is being broken over a certain level, it thinks to itself, oh, this is a really dirty piece of carpet, or a really dirty above the floor piece of cleaning, because you could be using the hose and it will still function. So what it does is actually shift the speed of the motor into the medium setting. So that means if I bring this back and show you, like so, on the top panel here, so you'll be merrily vacuuming away with the green light on in low power. You hit a really dirty piece of carpet. The electronics sense that you are vacuuming a dirty piece of carpet. It will boost the power to medium level, which is the amber light here, until that carpet is clean. And then when it senses that its light beam is no longer being broken at a preset rate, it will automatically reduce the cleaner's power back down to low. And then you carry on cleaning in low until you reach another dirty section. And then it will increase the power back to medium. And it will do this, and it will cycle until your carpet is completely clean. And you basically know it's clean when your machine is no longer boosting its power to medium. Now there is an override to this. It's this button here. This is basically the boost button. And what this button does is it overrides all electronics. So it's a manual control. If you want the highest power setting, you want all 800 watts from your twin fan motor, you press this button, the red light comes on, which is I think this light here, and the machine is in boost mode. And it will stay in boost mode until the user manually unpresses this button or turns this button off. Then the machine will retake over, the electronics come back online, and it starts to resense for dirt. Now, frankly, I think that is incredibly clever. And do you know what? It actually works, which I think is the funniest bit of it all. It's a Hoover vacuum cleaner that actually works and does what it is supposed to do. Now, for 1992, I think that's flipping brilliant. That is really clever. What a sea change this cleaner was from the original Turbopower. So now that I've talked about all of its features, I really want to explain to you why I think this is one of the best Hoover vacuum cleaners ever made. And it's quite simple, really. It's the build quality of it. This is a tough cleaner. This is tough. If I had a Turbopower here, a Mark 1, and I compared them side by side, it's like chalk and cheese. It really is like chalk and cheese. They're tough cleaners. They're made really well. Good quality plastics, screws and nuts and bolts in all the right places, well thought out, much more reliable than the original Turbopower, much more so. And they clean as well as, or even if not better than, the original Turbopower. One of the things that really marks this out for me, and I can't show it to you here, but on the chassis of these, and again, look, it's really good, thick plastic. There's no flex here whatsoever. This is really good stuff. One of the things that used to happen with the original Turbopower is that when the brush rolls started to wear, and with the tension of the belt pulling down on the side and the possibility of the brush roll bearings heating up, the chassis would melt at the point where the brush roll enters them. This is really annoying because you have to reshape those chassis. You can bring them back, but it's a pain in the bum. What Hoover did on Turbopower 2 was to put metal shims on either side of the chassis, so the brush roll actually goes into pieces of metal. It's not straight onto plastic. It's not brush roll onto chassis plastic. It's brush roll onto metal, metal onto chassis plastic. Oh wow, what a difference it makes. Just putting two little bits of metal in there makes a massive difference. That's just one thing. I mean, you know, the fact that on a original Turbopower, if you twist the handle, the whole body will flex. It doesn't happen on this. It is as solid as a rock. The only real downside to this is the fact that these cleaners are quite heavy. That is their Achilles heel, really. They are quite heavy. I mean, I'm no 7 stone weakling, but I pick this up and I notice it. It is a weighty cleaner. But that is it, really. That is it. That's the only downside to Turbopower 2. Frankly, I think they are brilliant vacuum cleaners. They are brilliant. They are brilliant. They were such a sea change away from Turbopower 1. And it's sad, really, because Pure Power was not a particularly great cleaner. That chassis, I mean, I've shown you the chassis on the Vortex. Pure Power and Vortex share the same chassis. It's just not brilliant. They were a downgrade from this. These cleaners, Turbo 2, Turbo 1000, Turbopower 3, they were all brilliant. And then, sadly, they are bookended by Turbo 1, which was not brilliant, and Pure Power, which was not brilliant. So, from my point of view, this was the last great Hoover upright. The very last. Everything after this has been horrendous. So Turbo 2 gets my seal of approval every time. So that's enough waffling. I think now we should try the experiment with the cat litter, which we did on the original Turbopower Freedom. So I need to get the Dyson air filter thingy, and I need to get some cat litter. We need to plug this in, and we need to give it a go. So I'm going to do that, and I'll see you back here very shortly. Right, here we are. Everything is set up and ready to go. We have our clean, dry cat litter right here. We have the Dyson air purifier fan here. In auto mode, you can see the green A down here on its screen. Not screen, it's a little area. And we have the Turbo 2 that's ready to rock and roll. I have pushed the camera up a little bit so you can actually see the lights at the top and you can see what they're doing. So what should happen is when I turn the cleaner on, it will automatically go into mid-range, mid power level. and then automatically reduce itself back down to green, which is low power mode. I'll then take the hose out and start vacuuming up this cat litter. I'll do it slowly, and then it should boost to mid-level whilst it, because this is quite thick, so it will easily break the light beam in it, and then yeah, we'll get medium power, and then when I finish it will drop back down to low. So if you recall, in the original Turbo 1 video, the Dyson fan shot up to 10. Because there was so much dust in the air, this thing just went absolutely berserk. It went mental within about 5 to 10 seconds of starting to suck up the cat litter in the original Turbopower 1 Freedom. So it would be really interesting to see if this moves at all. I kind of think it might do, but we shall see. Now obviously this Turbo 2 is exhausting out from this point, so it's exhausting away from the Dyson fan, and the sensor is here at the back. I don't want to get too close to it because it might actually trigger. I find that these can even be triggered by deodorant spraying. You can spray some deodorant upstairs, come down, walk past it, and it will actually trigger and start. So okay, you ready? Here we go. I'm going to turn the Turbo 2 on. You just press the right button. So watch the lights. There we go. Here it goes. Well, there we go. Not only did it actually suck up all of that cat litter, and that was more litter than we had with the original Turbo 1 Freedom, the fan hasn't triggered at all. There's nothing. It sensed nothing. And that was with the Permabag in place. That wasn't a paper bag or a high filtration bag. That was the Permabag System 2. And the Dyson fan has just not triggered whatsoever. So that just shows you how good that is. Now, obviously, it's not going to be as good as say a Dyson would be, because there's no cyclonics involved. It's not separating out any dirt. It's literally just that Draylon material of the Permabag System 2 that's actually capturing and filtering the dust from the cat litter. I didn't notice any particular drop in suction though. That was quite dusty. There's like big lumps of cat litter, but there's also fine dust in them as well. And the machine didn't seem to lose that much suction or airflow. I had kind of expected the bag full light to come on, certainly when it was in boost mode, but no, nothing at all. So that just shows you how much better the Turbopower 2 is than the Turbo 1. It would be interesting to actually do that test with a Turbopower 1 with a paper bag in it, and then do it again with the Turbopower 2 with a paper bag in it. So we can definitely say that the Permabag system on Turbo 2 is much better than the Permabag system on Turbo 1. I think what we'll do now is we'll actually empty it. So let's whip the Permabag out of the cleaner, which you should be able to do relatively easily. There we go. Just pull it out like so. Yeah, we've definitely got catalyst around there. Let's pop the machine down and open this up. There we go. Let's take that off. And then we can decant our catalyst back in. And there we go. There it is. That's quite impressive, isn't it? Give it a bang. Get the dust off. Yeah, there we are. And there it is. Back in the bowl. So, yeah, there we go. I think we can conclude that that experiment worked a lot better than the original one did. Which is it's no real surprise, to be perfectly honest with you. But I am surprised it did. It actually did better than I thought it was going to do. So well done, Turbo 2. You've done a marvellous job. Yeah, there's very little dust inside actually. I'm not going to do the vacuuming with the Permabag in. I'm going to actually use the paper bag to do the in-use section of the video. So let's pop that bag back in. Because this is not this machine is not normally a Permabag system. It's a paper bag one, which we've already talked about. And there's still nothing from the Dyson fan here. It's still in auto mode. Let's put this hose back on properly, because that's flicking my OCD. Let's get this around. There we go. Put that back in. There's some dust coming out. And there we go. So, I think we can safely say that was a pass. Pass with flying colours. Okay, that's enough waffling from me. I think we'll go and film the in-use section of the video now. I'm actually quite looking forward to this. I haven't used a Turbo 2 for ages. It's been a really long time. So, yeah, it'll be cool to do that. Also, when I do the in-use filming, I'll film it sort of from the top. So when I'm picking up the oats from the carpet, I'll film it from this way so you can actually see it picking up the oats, and you can also see the lights working too. So that'll be cool. Yeah, so that's it from me. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to do the usual, commenting, subscribing and liking. This still hasn't triggered anything. This is still sat there quite happily. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.